Hi, I'm Mara Lathrop, and we're here at the 14th Annual Port Townsend Film Festival with filmmaker Jill Orschel and composer-performer Robin Zimmermann, who are here with their film, Like a Dance. So, Jill, this isn't your first time here, is it?
This is my third time here. I'm so excited to be here.
And how is it different being like a recidivist than being a newbie, do you think?
Well, I'm starting to know people like you and a lot of people that live here and some of the people from the shops and of course Julian, the program director. It was a great community here, and this is like definitely one of the festivals that I look forward to coming to.
So you make a point of sending your films here?
I do, actually.
That's fabulous. And we're so grateful. Let's talk about Like a Dance. Where did it come from?
Well, a good friend of mine who's from Argentina and was married to a handsome gentleman from Austria. And they had three beautiful girls, and the oldest girl, well, they're all dancers, but the oldest girl was diagnosed with Ewing sarcoma. And I thought it would be interesting to capture the essence of a young lady living her life, having a dream to do something. In her case, it was to be a dancer. Mm-hmm. And just like that, getting thrown into, not being able to do it anymore. And in a visceral way, through this short film, it's just 5 minutes, to capture the essence of something transformative. What else is there for her? Mm-hmm. And I think we captured it through music with Robin and Catalina speaking, and this underwater footage, all of the elements coming together to kind of capture that essence of, going from reality to something more, and that's how, just like a dream not being something you have to do, but maybe you get to do. So, I don't know if that explains it very well, but that's what I kind of set out to do.
What kind of questions are you getting after the film screens from people? What's really grabbing them?
Well, a lot of people are surprised that it's not about the cancer.
Yeah.
In fact, when I showed it to Catalina and her family, they were like, "Oh wow, I didn't expect this." Mm-hmm. And I don't think that I'm the type of director or storyteller that I don't know, for some reason I'm not the right person to tell that story. Mm-hmm. For me, I'm looking at a bigger picture or more spiritual or something like that that I'm preoccupied with. It's the illness is the circumstance, but I'm very much interested in I don't know, just like kind of the higher, I don't know how to describe it exactly, but it's just a little different realm that I'm going at.
Spiritual.
Yeah, it is spiritual.
It is, I thought so. I really did, and it was inspiring to see somebody facing that kind of illness to not give up on dreaming.
Yeah, exactly.
Robin, how did you come to this project?
Well, Jill and I met at the Sundance Institute. Mm-hmm. I was a composer fellow, and Jill was there, working away as photography. And then we became friends, and she's an amazing director. She sent me a piece that she did called Sister Wife. I was really impressed with. It's a beautiful piece. And
yes, we saw it here.
Yeah, that's right.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And
I wish I knew you then.
What is it?
We can do a redux.
What's it?
Yeah.
When you're working with a filmmaker who has, her idea about what she wants, how does that influence the way you go about composing music?
Well, I like to as a composer, because when I get a film without any music on top and they say, okay, what do you think? A lot of times when I see the film, my opinion of that film, or like what I'm grabbing from it, might not be what the director wants to portray.
Right.
They might want a certain emotion in the music that I don't even see yet.
Yeah.
That's kind of a bridge or something. There's something transformative. So I usually interview the director or talk to them.
Mm-hmm.
We talked, you even sent me some storyboard, I think,
Mm-hmm.
a little bit, just to understand their point of view, the arc, what emotion, and I think a lot in color, and I consider myself almost a naturalist composer in that I try to immerse myself in the surroundings of that. I mean, her film had a lot of water, really focused on just the water sounds and just the atmosphere and just the background. It's not, I didn't want to direct the audience to feel a certain emotion, and we talked through about that too. And Jill really thought that it would be a great idea to have just kind of something free form type score,
Like water.
like water. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Everything I did, like when I tried to orchestrate and I tried to create even like a quartet, it was just too heavy.
Yeah.
It's this girl that's going through a major life change, and it's simple with the water, and just really it's just a quiet piece that's really beautiful. And so the water seemed to be its own character and kind of tie it together.
How is it different to write a score that really underscores an entire film than writing music that's really just being used for emphasis here and there in maybe, let's say, a longer piece? I mean, your voice was present all the way through.
It was, for the most part.
So that I don't think that happens for every single composer who's working in film.
Right. Well, right. It was just short, so I mean, it was kind of layered. It was basically like the water sounds throughout, but I do a lot of films where it is cues. With certain, like, this 10 seconds.
Yeah, it's like
or
on this frame, it has to do this thing. And, yeah.
But it's the same process, and whereas Jill's film, I mean, it's a short, so it's kind of, you have more flexibility to do music throughout that whole time. In a feature film that's 90 minutes and you can't just wall-to-wall music, you still have to maintain that symmetry. And you have to think about just the start, beginning, even if this little part comes like 30 minutes later, this part still seems to have a tie throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I love how Robin added so much. There wasn't. I really didn't have a preconceived idea of what the music was going to do, or I didn't really ask. I mean, I knew what I kind of wanted to feel like, but I didn't want the music to be parallel with the feeling. I wanted it to be its own. And it counters sometimes. I think there's a lot of little, there's pauses or like hesitation in the music that's just so great. It's so spontaneous.
It's like breath. So
Yeah.
you have to let it breathe sometimes.
And there's a lightness to it, and you just nailed it perfectly. I love it.
How much film did you start with to edit down for your 5 minutes?
Oh, let's see. Well, gosh, my ratio is usually about like 20-1.
Yeah.
I would say, maybe more. The more I do this, the more the ratio is. And I don't think that's, I think that's a good thing. Because I'm really trying to establish trust with the subject. Of course, then be comfortable with the camera. And we're also trying to find, there's a balance. Just like how Robin and I worked back and forth with music, and I allowed you to, to do her thing. I'm just doing the same thing with my film subjects, and Catalina in this case. So we shot for, I probably went over there 7 times before we kind of figured out, what we're going to do. You know what I mean? So I shot 2 hours, I probably came home with 2 hours each time, those 7.
Yeah.
And then, but none of that was used at all. And that's always a little bit of a problem, especially when you're dealing with a child and their parents, and they're like, well, what about that great interview? What about that? What about this? And it's always hard to tell them, I know,
There was just so much good stuff.
So much good stuff.
I couldn't use it all.
Exactly.
What did Catalina think when she saw the finished film? And did she feel that it was accurate for what she wanted to express?
Yeah. They are a very, very private family, especially mom and dad.
Yeah.
And they were very terrified of me doing this.
So I guess the first question is, how did you get the parents' permission?
Well, I tried, well, because the mom, Vicky, Victoria, she's a friend of mine.
Right.
And, you know, I think it was Catalina, basically, that said that she really wanted to do it. So I needed to get a signed release
Yeah.
from
Mom and
one of
Dad.
the moms, one of the mom
Yeah.
or dad, and they weren't interested in doing that. And I was so mad. I'm like, this was after the 7 weeks of going in.
Yeah.
But, you know, I mean, that was like my very initial response. You know, then I went home that day, I'm like, oh, well, these are parents that have a child that is going through cancer. Whatever they're feeling is, you know, that trumps anything.
Yeah.
So I put the project down for a little while, for several months, and then I came back to it thinking, you know, I just kind of thought, I really want to tell this story, and Catalina is having fun with it. This is the one thing in her life that she's enjoying, you know, going through chemo and everything. So, anyways, I think I missed the whole question. What did they think? What did they think about the project?
Yeah. When Catalina finally saw the finished
Yeah.
project, did it express what she wanted to say?
Yeah, that's a great question, actually. Okay, so the first thing that came to mind when they saw it was, wow, this doesn't have anything to do with the cancer. And they weren't sure what to make of that, and Catalina said, I like it. I'm glad about that. And so I was relieved. And then Catalina came to many of our screenings.
Yeah.
And she was so fantastic in front of the audience that she was just having a blast. And you could tell she was just somebody that was a storyteller that wanted to tell more. And I just texted her this morning to tell her how fun, you know, it's been fun and well received. And I sense that she would love to do more. I sense that this is not enough for her. And she's more stories to tell.
I see a new intern in your future.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
Or possibly transmedia.
Yeah.
You know, possibly she could use this film as a platform to reach out in other ways, audiences. I'm not sure, but I'm really willing to work with her in any way she'd like. But it's exciting to think about.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely.
This is Mara Lathrop at the 14th Annual Port Townsend Film Festival with Jill Orschel and Robin Zimmermann and their film Like a Dance. Thank you.
Thanks. Great to see you again.
It's good to see you again, too.